Hello, friends. Welcome back. I'm Tom. Today, you'll quickly discover your English level: A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, or C2, using only your ears and a little focus. You'll hear 6 short stories, one for each level. If one story feels comfortable and the next one starts to feel difficult, that's exactly how you find your level. Don't worry about every single word. Listen for the overall meaning and how natural it feels. Ready? Let's begin. Level A1, Beginner. At A1, English is short, simple, and clear. Sentences are small. Words are common. If this feels easy, you're at least A1.
My name is Sarah. I am 24 years old. I live with my sister. We have a small cat. Her name is Luna. She is white and gray. I like my cat very much. We live in a small apartment. There is one bedroom, one bathroom, and a kitchen. The street is quiet. There is a bakery near our home. I go there in the morning. I buy bread and say hello to the baker. He smiles. Every day I wake up at 7. I wash my face. I make tea and eat toast. I put on my shoes and jacket. I take my bag and my keys. I go to work by bus. It takes 10 minutes. I work in a flower shop. I help customers choose flowers. I water the plants. I clean the tables. My boss is kind. At 12, I eat lunch. I eat rice or soup. I drink water or tea. After work, I go home. I cook a simple dinner. I call my mother. We talk about our day. In the evening, I read a small book or watch a short video. At 10, I go to bed. I am tired but happy. My cat sleeps next to me. I close my eyes and feel calm.
If you understood this comfortably, you are at least A1. Let's try A2. Level A2, Elementary. At A2, sentences are longer and more connected. You'll hear simple reasons, routines, and weekend plans.
My name is Diego, and I live in a small apartment on the second floor. It isn't big, but it's cozy and bright because the window faces a small square. In the morning, I open the curtains and see people walking to work. Sometimes I hear a street musician near the cafe downstairs, which makes my morning feel warm and friendly. I work as a barista in a family coffee shop. I usually walk there because it only takes 8 minutes. When it rains, I take the bus. I start my shift at 8:30, so I leave home at 8. At work, I grind coffee, make cappuccinos and lattes, and chat with regular customers. I like this job because I meet many different people and I can practice English with tourists who visit the city. During my lunch break, I sit by the window with a simple sandwich and a banana. I message my sister to check on our grandmother who lives nearby. After work, I often go to the community center gym for 40 minutes. I don't train hard, just a bit of cycling and stretching, because it helps me relax after standing all day. In the evening, I cook something easy, like pasta with vegetables. After dinner, I watch one episode of a show in English with English subtitles. I pause when I hear a useful sentence, repeat it aloud, and write it in a small notebook. On weekends, I meet friends for a walk by the river or visit the market to buy fresh fruit. If the weather is nice, we sit outside and talk about our week. It's a simple routine, but it makes me feel good and balanced.
If this felt smooth and clear, you are at least A2. Ready for B1? Level B1. Intermediate. At B1, ideas are more detailed. You'll hear some time markers, reasons, and light reflections.
My name is Maya, and I've worked as a museum guide for almost 5 years. I take small groups through the galleries and tell stories about the paintings, the artists, and the history behind them. What I enjoy most is watching people's faces change when they suddenly understand a piece. It's like a light turning on. I've learned to speak slowly, choose simple words, and check in with people to make sure they're following. A typical day starts around 8. I arrive early to review the schedule, test the audio guides, and walk through the rooms to see if anything has changed. Sometimes the tasks are easy, welcoming a school group or showing a family around. Other times, they're more complex, like managing a crowded exhibition or answering detailed questions from visitors who know a lot. It can be tiring, but it's rewarding because every tour is different. After work, I like to clear my head before going home. I usually take the long way to the metro and pass a small garden where volunteers plant herbs and flowers. On quiet days, I sit there for 10 minutes, listen to the city, and write a few lines in my notebook. In the evenings, I cook dinner, watch a short documentary in English, and practice repeating 2 or 3 sentences out loud. I also take an online course in public speaking because I want to become a curator in the future. It will take time, but I believe small steps every day will get me there.
If you followed the whole message without much effort, your English is around B1 or higher. Let's move to B2. Level B2. Upper intermediate. At B2, language sounds more fluent and natural. You'll hear longer sentences, comparisons, and personal reflections about change and challenge.
My name is Omar, and 3 years ago, I left a secure job at a bank to start a food truck with my sister. On paper, the decision didn't make much sense. I had a predictable income, regular hours, and a team I liked. But every day felt the same, and I couldn't stop thinking about the recipes I grew up with. Spiced rice, slow-cooked meats, and the kind of street snacks that turn a normal afternoon into a small celebration. I wanted work that tasted like my life. The first months were rough. We learned how to apply for permits, how to find a parking spot at the right time, and how to speak to customers who were curious but cautious. Some nights we sold out and cheered. Other nights we stood in the cold, counting the hours and wondering if we had made a mistake. I used to joke that we were studying outdoor business psychology, watching how music, smells, and weather could change a line from 10 people to none in 5 minutes. What kept us going was feedback. A couple who came every Friday told us our saffron rice reminded them of their wedding. A student asked for a job and ended up teaching us 3 new ways to cut costs without lowering quality. I started to see that being an owner isn't just about cooking. It's about listening, experimenting, and staying patient when results arrive slowly. Now our routine is intense but flexible. I wake up early to shop at a wholesale market, write a short list of goals for the day, and check our social media posts. If the weather looks good, we prepare extra sauces. If it looks risky, we plan a smaller batch and move to a spot near a busy metro station. Some months are full of events. Music festivals, night markets, sports games, and the money is great. Other months are quiet, and we save more carefully. I won't pretend it's easy, but when a customer takes a bite, closes their eyes, and smiles, I feel a kind of freedom I never had behind a desk. It's not just a job now, it's a life I recognize as mine.
If this felt natural and you could follow the details and reflections, you're likely B2 or above. Ready for C1? Level C1. Advanced. At C1, the language is richer and more nuanced. Expect longer reflections, abstract ideas, and subtle connections between points.
I'm Sophia, a high school literature teacher, and I've learned that teaching is less about giving answers and more about building a place where questions can breathe. My students arrive with phones, worries, jokes, and 100 small storms in their heads. Some days the lesson plan works perfectly. On others, it falls apart in the first 5 minutes, and we have to improvise. Strangely, those are often the days when the most learning happens, because the room becomes real, honest, messy, and awake. Over the years, I've changed how I measure success. At the beginning, I counted test scores and homework completion. Now I pay attention to how a student asks for help, or how two teenagers with nothing in common end up defending each other in a debate. I try to make the classroom a safe lab for failure, where the cost of a wrong idea is curiosity, not shame. When students feel seen, they take risks, and language grows where courage lives. The job is also administrative. Meetings, emails, policies, deadlines. It's easy to get lost in that forest and forget the purpose. So I've built small rituals, arriving 10 minutes early to write a sentence on the board that will start a conversation, greeting students at the door so I can read their faces before the bell, ending a difficult class with a 1-minute reflection where we name what worked and what didn't. None of this is spectacular, but small, steady practices are how culture forms. Of course, there are hard days, arguments in the hallway, a student who stops showing up, a parent who wants certainty when there is none. On those days, I remind myself that patience is not passive, it's a skill. I take a breath, I listen longer, I ask one more good question. And in the quiet after the bell, when the room is empty and the last notebook is closed, I often feel a soft, stubborn hope. People change each other, slowly, and words are the tools we share to do it.
If you followed this comfortably, your English is at least C1. Let's reach for C2. Level C2. Expert. At C2, language feels effortless, elegant, and precise. You'll hear subtle ideas, layered images, and a calm, natural rhythm.
My name is Yasmin, and lately I've been learning to trust the texture of quiet. For years, I believed that movement meant progress, more tasks, more messages, more proof that the day had value. But the most honest moments in my life rarely arrived with noise. They appeared in the space between things, the liminal minutes when the kettle sings, the room is full of morning light, and the world has not asked me to hurry yet. Silence is not an empty room. It's a chamber where forgotten thoughts echo, where decisions reveal their cost and their gift. I used to chase the next version of myself as if growth were an escalator I could ride upward without noticing what I left at each floor. Now I think growth is a kind of subtraction, a patient editing of what no longer fits. We inherit 1,000 voices, we keep a handful. The rest become a palimpsest beneath the words we choose today. Work still matters to me. I help people design systems and projects, but I no longer measure a week by its speed. I measure it by presence, how clearly I listened, how gently I spoke, whether I created a pocket of calm in a noisy meeting. There is a quiet courage in restraint, a soft strength in the sentence you don't need to win. When I forget this, life reminds me. A late train, a broken plan, a conversation that doesn't my way. These interactions are not enemies, they are teachers of equanimity. In the evenings, I cook slowly. I slice fruit as if time were wide. I write a few lines in a notebook, sometimes truth, sometimes almost truth, only the shape of what I mean. Words don't always capture reality, but they can tilt the light so I can see it. And when I close the book and sit by the window, I realize that peace is not a trophy at the end of effort. It is a companion that walks beside us when we finally match our pace to what we love.
If that felt natural and you could follow the thread without effort, your English is near C2. How to use this test. Listen once without subtitles. Notice which level feels easy and where it starts to stretch you. Then listen again with English subtitles, if you have them, to confirm. If you understood roughly 80% of a level without pausing and the next level felt difficult, the easier level is a good estimate of your current listening level. Next step, comment your level, A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, or C2, and I'll suggest a 7-day plan for you. If you want a printable checklist for each level, say checklist in the comments and I'll add it to the next video. Want me to tailor the names, jobs, or topics to your audience's country or age group? I can localize each story while keeping the same difficulty curve.